What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to 876 United Facts TV. And I'm starting something new today on this beloved Manchester United channel. As you guys may be aware, I also am a Jamaican, and this is a Jamaican based Manchester United fan channel. Now, as such, I have decided to start doing some Reggae Boys coverage in a sense that I'll be commenting on my viewpoints of how the Reggae Boys are performing and the governance of the Reggae Boys. So, guys, at this time, smash that like button, turn on your post notifications, and we're getting into the thick of things. Guys, let's go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, by now, you have been well aware that we have appointed a new manager to overtake the Jamaican football team, right? Men's football team, aka the Reggae Boys. Now, he is Mr. Is it Hargrimson? My apologies if I have pronounced his name incorrectly. Hargrimson. All right. At the end of the video, I will correct that error. But yes, for those who are unaware of who he is the very manager that took Iceland to the World Cup. Remember that Iceland team who did the clap thing when they celebrated a victory or a draw, right? Even when they lost, they had a trademark celebration. Now, he is the man who spearheaded that team to the World Cup. Now, possibly the thinking of the JFF Federation when appointing Mr. Hargrimson is to replicate the same thing where he would take Jamaica to the World Cup for a second time. Now, to analyze his first game, by now you guys are well aware that we played Argentina last night, where we lost 3-0, where a Lionel Messi, one of the greatest to ever play the game, came on in the second half and showed his quality. He dispatched us by coming on scoring a brace. No, that's not a surprise, but however, it's a big test for our new coach of the Reggae Boys. Now, Argentina currently are ranked third in the world in the football rankings. And yes, that is not to say that we should expect a loss. However, we would have loved our Reggae Boys to show a better footing of themselves and to even try and score against the so-called world number 3 team, right? So, to put it in perspective, I am firstly going to analyze, how the game went last night. Now, as it relates to how the game went, I could see there was a change as it regards to the approach of the game. Normally, when watching the Reggae Boys, we are seeing a lot of long passes where we try and make a Hollywood pass or we try and make a final ball out of defense, bypassing our midfield area. And as such, we give possession away and therefore facilitates us to be under pressure by our opposing team. Now that has been the reoccurring theme with the Reggae Boys. For me personally, and I would imagine for other Reggae Boy fans as well, I would prefer us to have a patient sort of football where we try and accumulate passes, sort of like the Pep Guardiola style football, the Ten Hag style football, you name it, or you can even put Jurgen Klopp style football, where it's possession based, high energy, and pressing. We would love to see that sort of football being played by the Reggae Boys. And for a microcosm of the game, we saw that there was an intention to play passes amongst one another. And for that premise, I would say that is the first change as to our new manager is trying to implement for the Reggae Boys. However, there still seems to be no level of cohesion, chemistry. You get what I'm saying? And that comes with time, with playing with one another. And that can be down to not going into that right now. The persons who are in charge of recruitment of the pool of players who the Reggae Boys would need to play. So going back to the game last night. So yes, as it relates to us trying to pass the ball, putting the ball on the surface, I have seen an improvement as it relates to that part of the game. However, the same mistakes which we have seen in the qualifiers previously are still there. There's lack of communication as it relates to our defensive communication. We're not seeing our defenders communicate, say, mark left, look over the shoulder, keep the line high. Stuff like that we are not seeing. Is that down to coaching, or is that again down to lack of chemistry? Because yet again, the back line which we played last night is a completely different back line. It's normally Low and Liam Moore, or last night it was Low and Mariappa, just to name a few. And sometimes it is Fisher playing right back, um la, or what's his name, Taxi Lawrence playing left back. Last night I believe it was what was his name? It was another English based player playing left back last night against Argentina, right? So we saw it was Bell playing left back, and Brown. So then again, we can say possibly a change in the back four could have caused the lack of communication, lack of chemistry, and so on and so forth. Daniel Johnson, Ravel Morrison was our two holding midfielders last night. Ravel Morrison, I believe, is an intricate player, a player that likes the ball at his feet, who likes pass and movement. However, we need a destroyer with him playing in the double central role. Daniel Johnson, for me, I think he is a good player in as it relates to the others that we have. However, I think that he gave away the ball too much yesterday. I think it's still reminiscent of the long ball kind of play that he is accustomed to playing under the previous regime for the Reggae Boys. Now, Bobby Reed, I think last night Bobby Reed graveyard shift last night. He was out of the game. Didn't see him do much last night. Probably it was as a result also of Argentina being the dominant as it relates to possession. Leon Bailey, he tried hard. Again, part of a star player standing out is to have other players around him doing their role to the T. And I think that Argentina disallowed Jamaica to get into the groove of the game. As I said, the positive, as I said earlier, we are trying to put the ball on the surface and trying to build up, you know, passes in order to, you know, develop a sort of playing style. Now, Shamar Nicholson and Michael Antonio, graveyard shift, right? Argentina was the dominant regarding to possession. Therefore, our strikers will get a lack of, action in that regard. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, I think this result is expected. Um, as I said, improvement regarding the style of play, but we need more chemistry. We need more games under the belt so that our Reggae Boys can build a sort of playing style, and to kind of understand the ideology of our new manager. Now we have another game in November against Cameroon. Now, based on the reports I'm hearing on the sports news, is that we're not going to be able to use these same crop of players that we got to play against Argentina. Probably it's going to be another batch of players. Now, this is another downside to the governance or the management of the Reggae Boys team. Now, if you look at all the established countries in the world as it relates to football, the Frances, the Germanys, the England. Well, I wouldn't put England there, no disrespect. But yes, all of those top teams across the world, Brazil, Argentina, who we played, you can identify that these teams always have a pool, a batch which they stick to, whether it's a friendly game or it's a cup game or a tournament sort of setting. There's always a batch of players that is there that are regarded the core players for the manager. No, mark you will have instances where there are one and two players that are outside of the norm. For example, when France won the World Cup, Mbappe wasn't one of he was the integral in them winning the World Cup. But before the World Cup, Mbappe was young and so on and so forth. You have players like him coming in. No, Mbappe is a regular. No, we know. But back then he was not a regular because he was young and just coming on the scene and so on and so forth. So I am speaking about those instances where you have a standout player who is from the country who you will have to sort of put him in the team so that he can add a certain level of quality and so on and a little edge to the team. But however, you have your pool where you know that you have a chemistry that suits the playing style, similar to when we're talking about Manchester United, the Man Cities, and so on. Is those batch of players who the manager have, who he will use to play his style of football. So it's a similar kind of setting and ideology I am referring to, where Jamaica needs a pool of players that they know that bam, we are going to call up these players all the time that we have a international game, whether it is a cup game or a tournament or just a friendly, where you know that all the leagues across the world give the players time off so that they can play friendly games. We have the UEFA Nations League, the CONCACAF Nations League, and so on and so forth. So in times like that, we call up the players to play for us and not the mark you. I'm not saying and I'm not bashing the local based players now. I'm saying if there are local based players that the manager wants in the team, those players will be called constantly once they're fit. You get me? And if you want to mix them with the international players, do as is needed. So that is just my take on certain things. And I mean, time will tell because again, another thing, you get a coach that has the resume to be able to carry teams to the highest in the game. However, if the proper support and backing is not there, we will not perform. If it's the same jigsaw, the same disorientation that is occurring under this manager, nothing will change. Similarly to how Manchester United has been operating for the past 9 to 10 years or so. Right? So it's a similar thing. So, in order for the Reggae Boys to be back in the World Cup, we need a proper system in place from the top right down to the bottom. So, ladies and gentlemen, our new manager ended in a loss, but let us not overreact. Let us make time tell what will happen. Guys, like, share, and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos about the Reggae Boys. And yes, Manchester United also. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to 876 United Fox TV. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. And see you in my next video.